were searching for weight loss in all of these quick ways of trying to achieve it, and then wondering why we're not successful with it. And I've had a lot of success with it. My clients have had a lot of success with it. And so we thought we'd start the show called Get Real with Jen. That's me. I'm Jen Powter. You can find me on www.jenniferpowter.com. I've got a YouTube channel where I love to share videos. And the reason for this is, and the reason that the topic is what it is today, is so often we start something, right? So think of whatever cleanse or whatever detox or whatever 14-day or 30-day program you started, and you do awesome for the first little bit. You do it. But then the sort of, it doesn't feel as fun, you lose your motivation, and ultimately what happens is you break the commitment to yourself. And if you don't have the commitment, it's really hard to be consistent. And if you don't have consistency, well, then you never get the result. And no matter what part of your life you talk about, the same principles hold true, right? So whether you want to be a good parent, whether you want to show up in your relationship in a better way, whether you want to do or achieve more at work, you got to bring something and you got to have a goal around it. So what we're going to be doing is every week, well, and actually I started this because I struggle with commitment too sometimes. It's easy to say you're interested in something. It's easy to have the bright, shiny object, but the follow through is where people get tripped up. And so, you know, I have had a bit of a complicated life for a bit, and being committed and consistent to different things have been challenges for me. And so part of this is being able to walk my talk and model what it takes to be committed. And that means every Monday at 12 p.m., this show is going to run. And it won't matter if I'm traveling or away or if it's a holiday or whatever, this is going to air. And so please bring your questions, right? It's questions, challenges. I know we've got a whole stack of topics that viewers and readers have submitted saying that they want to have discussed, which is awesome. I think we've got content for the next little bit. And also, if you're here, just let me know you're here. Like Allison, yay, I just see that you joined. Thank you. I'm actually super nervous. So what, you know, the goal is to be able to provide science-based information along with sort of the psychology of change that happens no matter what you're trying to change in your life. I like focusing on weight loss because I truly believe it's one of the most powerful transformative experiences a woman can go through. And even if you've tried and failed in the past, all it means is that that method that you tried didn't work for you. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that nothing else is going to work. It just means that didn't work. So that's okay. It's just like having new data. And so part of it too is also being able to share like how things work in my life. It's not always easy to stay committed to the things you want most. And sometimes commitment goes like this, right? It goes up and down. But the problem is when life is easy, it's easy to be committed. It's when you get challenged, it's when things feel hard that we start to get a little bit wavering in how we do things. So that's the goal, is that, you know, Mondays, the reason is you start your week off with the right mind. Everything starts with mindset. It's so true, even in terms of how you go about achieving weight loss and health. And if you don't have the right mindset, if you start your week off feeling blah, crappy, unmotivated, uninspired, then you really end up taking actions that follow that emotion. And uninspired actions, I don't know about what that is for you, but for me, that can mean not doing the things that I know I need to do, giving in to being a little bit less committed than I want to be, and then it can be a downward spiral. And so I know in life, things can spiral down or they can spiral up. And a lot of it is just deciding, what do you want most, right? What do you want most in your life? Not what do you want most in the moment? Because it's the in the moment temptations that can really start to take you down the wrong path. So Emily, hi, I see that you just joined, thank you. I was just saying that I was feeling a little nervous, but also super excited because this is the first time. So what we did is, we we surveyed my list and we asked, you know, how many times a week would you tune in to Get Real with Jen? How long do you want it to be? What time do you want it to be at? And then we took all of that data, and this is what we've got. So these shows will never be, you know, they're going to be roughly 20 minutes every Monday. A popular time was 9 o'clock at night, but I know that I am not my best at 9, and that would be extremely difficult to have week to week to week consistency on. Just because of life and kids and events that they're at, and I didn't want to sacrifice that time with them. So I know that, you know, you can either watch live or tune in and watch the replay. So so part of what, you know, this is about is it really is about getting real, right? Getting real with yourself, understanding why do you do what you do and where are you pretending? And those are hard questions to ask yourself, or at least they are for me. Because often we're trying and we believe that we're trying and we're doing lots of the right things, but then it's the inconsistencies that start to really take a toll on seeing the change happen. And so what that means is, you know, a lot of times I hear my clients or women when they first come to me and they talk about all of these things that are doing that are really good, right? Like they're trying to eat salads for lunch, or they're paying attention to not drinking as many lattes through the week. But it's the little things that get forgotten along the way, or the little things that we don't even understand have impact. So things like, you know, I actually held this up. I had another thing going on this morning, and I just brought an example of like a sesame snap, right? It's tiny, it's sesame seeds. Sometimes we just don't even know what we're doing. And you know, if you eat one of those, it's like having 2 pieces of toast, basically, right? But it's so little, you would never get that. So often we are doing some really good things, but it's the little things that get in the way. The other thing that's really interesting about the topic of commitment is what causes you to be uncommitted, right? Is it not feeling well? Is it letting other things in your life supersede you? Do you have a belief system that says it's more important to take care of other people and to meet deadlines and to perform in other aspects of your life, and it's okay to not worry about yourself or to make yourself a priority? And, you know, you have to ask yourself, because when there was a point in my life when I truly believed that washing the floor had more value for me than actually going out to move my body, to go for a walk, or to go to the gym. I believed that my time was better spent doing something like that, which was serving my house and serving my family, but wasn't making me the best version of me. And actually, quite frankly, it was making me a little bit resentful of this home life that I couldn't really seem to manage. But it's because I had this belief system that excuses, I could create really justifiable excuses about why I was doing what I was doing. And the thing that's interesting is for, you know, the kind of women that I work with, which they're amazing women. They're high achieving, they're high capacity, they're full of life, they've got dreams yet to realize in the world. But it's almost like the more driven and the more successful and accomplished a woman can be, the smarter you get at justifying and rationalizing why you're at where you're at. Right? Well, I'm just so busy right now, or it's the kids, or it's work, or it's deadlines. And the excuses sound so real, so valid, that you can trick yourself into actually believing that they're true. Now, that is not to say that you're like totally living in excuse land and not taking action. That's not it. It's about checking in with what's real and what's not. I fully get that if you have a commitment to family, that matters, right? You might have a value around, you know, taking care of your kids if they're sick, or you have a value around, you know, whatever it is. But in your heart of hearts, you're going to know when you're not showing up for yourself, right? You're going to know when you've said, yes, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, and then you just hit snooze, and you do it day after day after day, and you don't make it to the gym. I've been there. Right? You know when you have the best of intentions to maybe cut back on wine, and yet it's been a hard day, you've just had a fight with your partner, the kids were exceptionally difficult, and by 9 o'clock, all of a sudden that commitment that you made earlier in the day to not maybe drink wine, yeah, you don't feel so committed to it. In fact, you start to believe that it's okay, that just this once, just tonight, you're going to worry about this tomorrow, or you're going to start again on Monday, or next week, or next month, or next year, when things are just a little bit easier. The problem with that, though, is you can like really stay in that land, right? You can stay in that land for a pretty long time until something jars you to wake up. And I fully believe that there are so many whispers and nudges a woman gets to help her wake up to her life. And sometimes we just like keep pushing those nudges away. And eventually it's like you get smacked with a 2x4 across your head and you are forced to wake up. And that can come in the form of some sort of life crisis, sickness, maybe loss of somebody in your family. It can come in the form of financial crisis, trouble in your relationship. I mean, so many different ways. And it's hard. It's hard when you hit that point. It is easier to pay attention to the whispers and the nudges when you're, first getting them. But if you're like me and you don't, I end up getting mono and, pushing myself into the ground with adrenal fatigue. And the messages had to get so loud before I was willing to pay attention to myself and willing to truly commit to making some life changes. So in this show, I'm going to be sharing not just the science-based information and best practices and weight loss and healthy living strategies that I know to be true, but I'm going to be sharing about real life, right? What it takes to live well, how you cope with hard events, how you cope with stress. Like, it's not like, I used to believe that people who, my mentors and role models who I've had in my life, until you know the backstory, sometimes it's really easy to put people on a pedestal and think, oh, it's so easy for them. Their life is so easy. And what I found is that's never true. Everybody has a backstory. Everybody has something going on in their life that's a challenge. And I think there's even, probably on Facebook, you've seen those quotes that say, be kind. Everybody's battling something that you know nothing about. And it really is so true. And again, I hear that with all of my clients. You talk to somebody and on the outside, there can be this mask of perfection where everything in life looks smooth and perfect. But you ask enough questions and you get to dig in and hear what's really going on. And whether somebody's coping with trauma, betrayal, heartbreak, loss, insecurities, lack of self-worth, I mean, all of us can have this at play in our life for so many different reasons. But it can be left unchecked. And when it's unchecked, you don't even know how it's impacting your life anymore. And what I have found is it's so easy just to want to soothe the anxiety, right? To soothe the hard feelings with doing whatever it takes to kind of numb you out in the moment. And I truly see it. The most socially acceptable way for women to do that is with wine. It's with wine or with food. And often with the wine comes the food, right? So a lot of these things go hand in hand. And so the goal of this is that every day, we're making the choice about how we want to live better. What's the commitment you want to make to yourself? What's the thing that if you know you did it or achieved it would have the most impact on your life? And you start there. You have to constantly be inspired by your dreams. So often I think our failures, the things that we've tried to do and maybe sucked at or didn't succeed at, or they didn't work out the way that we hoped they would, we sort of let that data hold us back from moving forward. It's like that little voice in your head, the mean one, that tells you all the ways that you're not doing a good job or how you're not measuring up. It reminds you, it's like, oh, why would you do that? Remember when you tried that before and you didn't do a great job and you felt so embarrassed or ashamed or guilty? And it just kind of goes on and on. And so often we'll let our past regrets and failures hold us back from our future, which means that we're kind of living in the past, right? We're just constantly playing the replay loop, as opposed to going, okay, well, that happened then. Doesn't mean it's going to happen again. What is it that I want? And so you have to set your sights on what you want, not what you don't want. So often I'll ask the question, what would you like? What would you like to see for yourself? What would you like to experience? What would you like to feel in your body? And the answer is, I don't know. And I get it. I've been there. Sometimes it's hard to know. So you start with, well, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to be fatigued. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to feel so crabby and irritable all the time. So I don't want that. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, what do you want? And once you get clear on what you do want, right, it starts with that vision. Well, then it means you have to make a decision. Is this something you are willing to commit to? Because I believe the day-to-day betrayal that we engage in relationship to ourselves is the thing that hurts us and harms us the most. It's the thing that holds us back. It's like the times that you tell yourself that you're going to snack on more vegetables today, but you go into your kitchen and you just go straight to the pantry and you grab the chips instead. And you think, God, I can't even do the things, like the little things that I know are important for me. How am I ever going to accomplish the big things? And so that's just it, right? It's the consistency. Do you have a vision that is so motivating, that you are so connected to, that it can inspire you when you feel unmotivated? My clients, sometimes they hear me say the same things over and over again, which is, you can't really care how you feel sometimes. You just need to do what it takes, right? Feelings are seductive. Feelings can have you do crazy things. Feelings can make you take action, and feelings can halt action in its tracks. But when you're committed, you don't let those feelings become the justifiable reasons that you don't do something. Right? I could say that I was going to start this show on Monday and then feel nervous, feel stupid. What if it doesn't go well? What if there's technical difficulties? What if I have nothing to talk about? What if nobody watches? What if nobody cares? What if I say something stupid? And my mind can create this whole litany of things that really, if I didn't feel committed to a vision about what I want to see unfold in my life, it would be enough to be like, ooh, yeah, that's scary. I don't want to do it. Yeah, that little voice is right. I'm going to just hold back. I'm going to hold myself back in life. But it's never worth it. Because so often what we're worrying about and what we're spending our energy thinking about never actually happens, and it's such a waste of the energy, right? Because here's the deal. You're either going to spend energy, emotional energy, feeling stuck, feeling crappy about yourself, feeling like you're in that rut, and we all know what it feels like to be in a life rut or an energetic rut. It doesn't feel good. Or you're going to spend that energy doing something positive, expending energy to help move you forward. And I 100% can tell you that when you spend the energy to move yourself forward, it feels better. It's how you start to get traction. And when you start to bring consistency to your commitment, meaning day in, day out, hour by hour, you stay on track and committed to the vision, well then that's where momentum builds. And that's what becomes so inspiring. That's how you start to get results, right? It's not enough to be like, I'm going to call it the binge fest of good, right? It's not enough to just, go out and buy a whole load of vegetables and eat really well for a week and then just go right back to old habits. Right? That's the whole concept of fad diets. When you don't have the skills and resources to implement permanent lifestyle changes, anybody can do anything for a week. Hell, I think anybody can pretty much do anything for even a solid 30 days. But if what you're doing to get healthy feels hard, feels like it's depriving, or living in a world of denial, deprivation, restriction, if you're hungry, if it's taking a toll energetically that way, well, then you can't live like that. No one can. And it's not about commitment or willpower. Sorry, it's not about willpower or discipline. It is about commitment, right? Willpower and discipline are like muscles, right? If you go to the gym and you do 100 reps, the first few times you do something feels easy with a lighter weight, right? It feels easy. But the longer you do it, the muscle fatigues. That's like willpower. That's like discipline. It fatigues over time. So if you're white knuckling something, eventually your grip slips. But when you're committed, right, when you feel committed to it, it's like you constantly get to adjust that grip and you constantly get to evaluate how you want to move forward. And that's where the power comes. So this week, what I want you to get clear on is, what do you want to be committed to? What does it look like for you? Where do you want to start? Identify it. You can't get anywhere if you don't know where you want to go, right? Take a look at your life. And a lot of us can kind of just numb out and be existing in our life, right? We're surviving. Lots of what I do is under the banner of energy to thrive, because I fully believe that no woman on this planet should be here to simply survive. That is not enough to expect out of life. You should be able to expect the feeling of thriving in life, but part of it is owning the responsibility to create it. To know that you have the ability to create that energy for yourself, that you have the ability to thrive in your life, no matter what your starting point is. So if you're watching this now, or if you're watching the replay, shout out in the comments. I'm gonna be back and checking in and wanting to know the viewers that are gonna be watching the show so I can build that relationship with you. And the only way I can do that is if you share what's actually going on for you and let me in, right? Let me be able to be a support or a side, a cheerleader on the side for you. Because my commitment is to this show, and it's to truly helping women get the information that they need, not just from the science perspective of eat this, move like that. If it was that simple, we'd all be size 2. But really understand what's normal when you go after something that you deeply want. It's not enough just about what you do. It's about how you think about it that truly makes a difference. So that's it. That's a wrap on our first show today. If you tuned in live, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be back here next week at 12 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you can't catch it live, make sure you watch the replay. Also, if you have topics that you'd love to see me talk about during this, just put them in the comments below as well, and we'll check in to add those to our list. That's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a super Monday and a super week ahead.